up? Yo, man, I love you. I love y'all so much. I gotta tell you, we'll get to this. Man, you know, it's good stuff. I gotta turn this. There we go. Sorry, I'm getting texts on my iPad. There we go. Man, this is the joy of my life, seriously. I leaned over to my friend Corey yesterday. Some of y'all got to have Corey and Erskine in breakouts, and man, I just told him I could just do this forever. So, and I could do that because of y'all, seriously. So thank you for just being incredible, having a good time, making it an amazing time. I do want to get to some thank yous, but before we do that, I'll do one more push, man. If God did something in your heart and you've never been baptized, this is a public way of saying to everybody, I'm in this for the long haul. And when you get baptized, that's actually kind of a way for us as other Christ followers to keep you accountable. You know, it's actually a way for us to be like, okay, see that person that just got baptized? We need to judge them harshly. No, not harshly, but out of love, to be like, man, you committed your life to Christ. Let me help remind you and walk with you along the way in a loving way. So, get baptized. And on the baptism note, Frisco East Campus, Prosper Campus, this is going to be fun because Prosper, you already know this, but just as a reminder, this coming Sunday, tomorrow, we don't have Prosper service because we're going to be back here with Frisco East on Wednesday. So Prosper Campus, we'll see you here on Wednesday, March 2nd. Just wanted to remind you of that. Another thing, after, we're going to try to get these up as soon as we can, but if you go to the YouTube page, we're going to put all of the sessions that were recorded in this room on the YouTube page. Because maybe somebody came yesterday, but they couldn't today, and they were on your mind. Mary was speaking this morning. Reward was speaking. You're like, man, I wish they could have heard this. I feel like this is exactly what they need. Well, you can go on YouTube and share that link with them as well. Or maybe just for you. You want to you're like, man, I need to remember. You won't have the same feelings, but that's okay. You'll remember what God has told you anyways. And last thing, I need you to make me a promise, okay? Make me a promise that maybe not tonight, but before tomorrow is over, that you'll tell your parents in detail everything that happened in your life yesterday and today. The fun stuff that you like, the awesome conversations, the God moments, please share those with your parents. When I was 15, my mom used to force me to go to church. And then someone paid for me to go to summer camp, and I liked summer camp, but then someone paid for me. I was like, I don't want to be like a charity case, whatever kind of thing. My mom was like, no, someone paid for you, you're going. She forced me to go to summer camp. I was in the worst place of my life, and I gave my heart to camp on night one, and the next day I was called to ministry, radically changed how I saw the reality, right? Like how we talked about, it changed everything. And then when I got home, and my mom said, how was summer camp? What did I say? It was good. That was it. And then days later, she came out there, she's like, why didn't you tell me? I was like, I don't know. So, make me a promise that you'll talk to your parents. Again, maybe not tonight, because you're tired, right? Who's tired? Are there some tired people out there? Yeah, we're tired. Okay, so maybe not tonight. Tonight, you can say this. It was so good. I'm going to tell you all about it tomorrow. Tonight, give me some Cane's chicken. Let me just get in my own bed, a shower, get some warm cover, and fall asleep, right? Okay. You can say it exactly like that. You got to do the hand motions and everything, okay? So, if you promise that, now let me hear you say promise. Thank you. Hey, I do want to say thank you to a bunch of people that are in the room, and I would love for you to kind of get your phones out like the way that we did this before. Maybe you don't have your phone, and which is okay. If you don't have your phone, kind of wave your arm around like this, like, hey, that's me. I'm so thankful. And also make some noise. You can kind of get your lights up or get your lights ready. There you go. All right, here we go. A lot of people to thank. First off, can we thank all of our production team? Everybody in the front of house, everybody behind stage, on the cameras. Thank y'all. Thank you. Goodness, y'all you do so much, and we don't even know. We see like 8 buttons, and we're like, I don't know what they do. So thank you so much for what you do. Can we thank our worship team? We are spoiled with our worship team here. Yes, we're so thankful, so thankful. We had a lot of volunteers come that weren't small group leaders. They were probably not even in the room. But can we thank all of our connection leaders, the ones that help with check-in, with first-time guests, with merch, with all of that? Yeah. How many of you love your student staff? How many of you love your student pastors, Pastor Nate and Pastor Elijah, Pastor Tisha, come on, Pastor Jerry. There you go. There are some other student staff that are sitting in the room in a service for the first time because they've been working their butts off. This is literally tonight, coming back like last session and today, like right now. These are the first sessions that Kristen Zimmerman and Kiera Watson and William Beal and Tori and Riley. Can we give it up? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Seriously. Gosh, thank you. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody else because there's one more group. If I forgot, I'm so sorry. But Katie! Oh my gosh, Katie, thank you. Oh my gosh. Katie just got married. Congratulations. Her last name is no longer, I don't know how to pronounce it now. So you help me out. I'm not going to try. Okay. Austin, help me out, man. I don't know your last name very well. I know what it looks like. Okay, anyway, moving on. One more group of people in the room, and I truly believe that we save the best for last to thank. Because there are over 100 people in this room who dedicate so much of their time and so much of their energy, and some of them are old. They don't got a lot of energy. They got to fall asleep, okay? They get hungry at 5 o'clock, it's true. But they take that energy and they take that intention, man, and they show up on the hardest days and they celebrate on the best days and they pray and wait for God moments to happen. And some of those have happened and some of those are about to happen. Can we get as loud as Hope students can get to thank our small group leaders in this room? Stand to your feet. Let's go find your small group leader. Come on. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Gosh. Small group leaders, thank you. Thank you. Y'all are the best. If I could pay you, I would, but I'm not rich. So, thank you. Man, I believe in God's going to keep doing some stuff. Let's pray and let's talk real quick. Jesus, I pray that you would just continue to speak to us. God, I pray that you would speak louder than anything else. Lord, that we would hear from you, and that would change everything from the way that we see the world outside to the way that we see ourselves. God, we love you, Jesus. It's in your name that we pray. Amen. Amen. All right, so this is going to be very quick. I promise you that. It's going to be quick. It's going to be awesome. Hopefully very simple, but maybe mind-blowing in just a small tweaking way because small changes make huge differences. So here's this idea of this question when we go to do something, oftentimes we ask this question about like, so what if I fail? Like this whole service, this whole weekend is themed around this idea of like, go. Like God's speaking to us, and then he's saying, who am I going to send? And it's us responding and saying, send me, I'll go. This is the idea of us going out and doing something. But if you're like me, or maybe you aren't, and you are just crazy confident, which is great. But what happens to me is that oftentimes when I go to do almost anything that pushes me outside of a comfort zone, or almost anything that my mind immediately goes to like, I don't know if I can actually do that well. I don't know if I can succeed. I'm like maybe God is speaking to you, and there's all this stuff behind, like all these God ideas that you've written down in a journal, that you've written down. Or maybe you've taken notes on your phone. You've written these down, but then this question pops in your head. So what if I fail? And what happens too often is this freezes us in place and pulls us back to where we were before. And I don't want you to boomerang back to what you used to think, the way you used to process, what you used to do, because God did a lot right here. So what I want to do is I just want to change one little thing. I want to tweak one little thing, and I want to take out this comma. And instead, I want us to say, leaving this room, so what if I fail? So what? It's not pausing to say, like, wait. Man, what if I fail? What if we leave this room with the idea of, man, we're going to fail, but so what? I would rather fail doing something than succeed at doing nothing. So what if I fail? I don't know what God has called you to. I know that over a dozen of you raised your hand and said, I'm called to full-time ministry. Man, when I felt called to full-time ministry, it was the same week, like I told you, that I gave my heart to God. I was 15, and then I spent 5 years running from that. I spent 5 years thinking nah, I'm not gonna do that. First off, I cannot talk in front of people. I'm very bad at that. I get kind of nervous, I stutter a lot, I got a speech impediment, I'm gonna fail if I do that, so I'm gonna not. And there were so many moments along the way in 5 years that I wish I could go back and change, because now I'm like, so what? Yeah, okay, God has called me to do something. What if I try and it doesn't go well? So what? It is better to try. It is better to try, because God doesn't promise us, if you follow what I tell you, then it will be done well. Everything will succeed. You'll be absent of suffering. In fact, Jesus, towards the end of his life, he's having this moment with his disciples, kind of putting everything else out there, saying, I'm about to be crucified. And they're like, what's going on? You're trying to wash my feet. This is weird. And he says, he's pouring everything inside of his mind out. And in John 16:33, he gives them the reason why he's saying all this. I have told you all these things so that in me you may have peace, not success. So that you may have peace. I've told you all these things because it's not going to go well all the time. Because you're going to try and you're going to fail. How many of us have had the thought, I'm going to become fluent in Spanish? Yeah. Me too. Every January, this year is the year, no, it's not. No, I've failed at trying so many different things. I took piano lessons for 3 years. Yeah, you know what? You put me in front of a piano, you know what I'm gonna do? That's it. If you're play another note, I'm just kill me. I have no idea. I bought a ukulele during COVID. Anyone else, you try to pick up a hobby during COVID? Pick up a hobby? And you're like, I got the time, right? I got the time, and nope. You even thought, at the beginning of COVID, you're like, I got so much time. I can wake up early, do my homework, and then it's the rest of the day to chill. And guess what? It turned into, the whole day to chill, and you failed classes, and it didn't go well, and, we learned a lot about ourselves, okay? All that to say, Jesus said that we weren't always going to do things well. He says, I've told you all these things so that you may have peace. In this world, you will have trouble. You will have trouble. You'll have trials. Bad things will happen to you that are out of your control. It is a nerve-wracking time. There's a lot going on. It's weird. It's weird to think that one day, your kids will have a textbook with this date in the history book. That. It's I saw a meme that said, I'm kind of getting tired of being part of big historical events. Yeah, but in this time, Jesus promised us, in this world you will have trouble, but take heart, because I have overcome this world. Jesus is giving us the idea that, hey, the biggest thing that matters in this world is salvation on the other side. It's being connected to our God forever on the other side of eternity. Take heart, because I've already overcome the world. So no matter what else you do, you can have peace. Because our peace isn't living here with us. It's waiting for us on the other side. So let's just do stuff. Let's just try. Let's just go out and fail. Because he's already taken care of the most important part. He's already taken care of the biggest pieces. He's already taken care of the things that matter the most. And now he says to us, I've got something for you to try. So what if we fail? So what? Since when did comfort matter more than purpose? I have a friend, he was the number one banker in Texas for BB&T, number one banker. Like money-wise, was great. He hated his life, hated his job, because he knew, like the whole reason he moved to Texas was to plant a church. So he was doing two things. He was helping to run the kids ministry and the youth ministry, and he was working full-time at a bank, and he was killing it at the bank. So much so that at one point, these two places intersected because the church plant, it was volunteer for a long time. But all of a sudden, it was just big enough to pay him a bit so he could be full-time. But then at that exact moment, the bank was like, man, this guy's killing it. We should give him a raise. We should give him a raise and promote him to a junior VP, to put him on the track to be a part of the executive team. And he said no. And they're like, what if we give you a $20,000 signing bonus? He's like, well, let me pray. And then he was like, man, the whole reason I moved here to Texas was to be a part of this church plant. But that's a lot, this is a lot of money, because the church plant, I got to raise my own money. There is no salary. They're going to hey, here's a little bit, and they would find people to support you. And so he went back to the bank, and he said, no, and in fact, I'm quitting. And they're like, what? You're what? They say, you know what, we'll do you one better. $50,000 signing bonus. And we'll raise your salary. He's like, oh, gosh. Hands are sweating, No, he didn't even doubt it for a second. He went back to them and he said no. And they said, well, what about a $75,000 signing bonus? He said, well, let me pray. So him and I were talking, and man, he was going back and forth, and he was like, man, I don't know, because I really don't want to do that. But it's really hard to say no. And through our conversation, what he ended up saying was, I would rather be poor and uncomfortable, but have a full and a fulfilled purpose than be rich and unhappy. I would rather exchange comfort for purpose. Too often, we get frozen in fear of failure, and we exchange the comfort of the current pain that we're still in. How uncomfortable is living purpose? How uncomfortable is it just being distracted like Joseph was talking about? Don't choose comfort over purpose. When the Lord was speaking to Isaiah in this vision, the whole verse, the theme verse for this weekend, in Isaiah 6:8, then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? Any who is willing to go. Is anyone willing to go? This is so interesting to me when God asks a question. It just further shows the proof that God's not looking to force anyone into anything. He will never force you into being in a relationship with him. He's never going to force you to live in your purpose. You got to volunteer. And that takes courage. That takes courage to volunteer and say, man, whatever may come, whatever happens, I'm going to do it. Because when Isaiah said this, when Isaiah said, send me, I'll go. Or go ahead, put that up. The next part. There we go. When he said, send me, I'll go. Man, that's a cool tagline, right? It's like, send me, I'll go. And it pumps you up. Send me. He actually said it with an exclamation point. He was like the first, like me, You ever in a small group and they're like, we'll do this. Like when Pastor Tisha had the Chick-fil-A gift cards and y'all saw the text and you're like, It was this kind of emphasis, yes, I'll do it. He was burning with passion. His heart was on fire with purpose. He was eager to answer God's question. He was eager to answer God's call. And God's response to him was very simple. It was go. Send me, I'll go, I'll go, I'll go, I'll go. And God replies to him, and he says, go. Then go. But what's crazy, and you should go back and read this, in Isaiah 6, the people that God was calling him to go talk to were people that God knew was going to reject him. Let that sink in. The people that Isaiah was volunteering to go and talk to go and minister to go and spend his life like pleading with, to say there's an answer, were people that were going to reject him. Jeremiah, he's known as a weeping prophet because there's this whole book, where Jeremiah kept doing what he knew God called him to do and saying what God was calling him to say. And not one person listened to him. In fact, his own people treated him so bad that the invading nation, the invading people were like, y'all should probably chill out on Jeremiah. Send me, I'll go. God is saying, go and do. And if you fail, so what? If you fail, so what? Just go. Go try something. Yeah, you're not going to be good at it. My first message was awful. If you judged yourself by the first time you did anything, you would still be crawling, okay? If you're like, I can't even walk, stupid babe. You know one thing that kills me about babies? And I love kids, but babies, I don't really want to hold them. And this is why. It's because I'm terrified I'm going to kill them. They're so little. And I was with my wife and her family, and her sister just had a kid. And I'm like, I don't want to, please don't, please. I will if they ask, but please, I'm nervous. It's so little, and they can't even pick their head up. They do this thing. I'm like, grow up, it's a thing. No, you don't do that to a baby. It's starting out. And when they wobble, and you're like, oh, they're wobbling on their little chunker things, You'll be like, dummy, you'll never walk. You look like an idiot. No! And yet we let the enemy do that to us. We let the enemy scare us away from a bigger purpose and actually maybe being good at something that God has called us to be because we get so frozen in failure. So what if we failed? What if we stopped caring about that? I want to leave you with this question, tell you a story. And man, I want to just talk to God. I want to talk to God and each other. It's this question. Okay, there you go. Can we be more focused on purpose than feeling? You're always going to feel like a failure. You just will. It's just the reality of it. And it doesn't matter how many times people tell you you're good at something. You're going to find out, your mind will immediately go to something that you're bad at, right? Like girls in the room and someone's like, oh, you're so pretty. And you're like, no. Like singers, people are like, oh, you can sing so well. And you're like, no, not compared to like that. Like immediately your mind will always go to something. Like if you trust your feelings, you're just going to be purposeless. If you trust your feelings all the time, you're just going to be lost. Can we just be more focused on our purpose? If we get focused on our purpose, we are dangerous people. If we get focused on our purpose, it doesn't matter if we fail. If we get focused on our purpose, it doesn't matter what brick wall we have to run through. And if we run into it, it doesn't matter, because if God has called us to something and we're focused on that purpose, and we will get past a feeling and live further into that purpose, and our life will be that movement in that direction. And if I'm being real with you, feelings, man, insecurities never go away. Sometimes they get quieter, but they never go away. They never do. And for me, even sometimes, I like to think I'm fairly confident in a lot of areas, and man, there are times that I'm like, I'm not good at this. I'm a failure. It's, when are people going to realize, I'm just kind of trying to figure this out along the way, I mean, some of my best friends, I can't tell you how many times I've prayed for them, I've witnessed to them, and some of my best friends to this day, I'm like, why? God, still, like, what else can I do? It feels impossible, but I'm gonna keep going. And I'm gonna keep trying with my friends and my family. Leaders, I know you feel this right now because maybe there's some students that you're like, man, one day, you know, like it doesn't matter. I'm going to show up even if they don't even notice. Because I know I'm called to them, because God has pulled me to them, because God has purposed me to be in their life right now. And many of you, you've been in their lives for years. Years ago, there was a young man, and man, I felt like God is calling me to him. And again, we're real here at Hope Fellowship, and I was like, God, I don't really want to. And maybe that's where you're at. Maybe God has told you to do something. Maybe God has called you to something. You're like, I don't really want to. But I know I'm called, and I knew I was called to him, and I'm just going to call him Harry. It's not his real name. It's kind of a funny name, but whatever, Harry. I just knew I was called to him. So I would reach out to him. I would hang out with him. I would talk with him. This dude barely came to church. Talk about like, invite your friends. I couldn't even get this guy to come to church. He like came a little bit in middle school, off and on. And then sometimes I would see him on Sundays. I'm like, hey, you know, like you gotta come to youth, you know. I didn't walk up and be like, God has called me to you. But I'm like, come on, you know. And I went to his games. Went to his, sports games, tagged him, and did he message, thanks for coming to my game? No, he like double tapped the like. I'm like, man, be like, oh, cool, thanks. You know? It's a Friday night. I could do a lot of stuff, okay? I came to your game because God has called me to you. And I was there. And this is years. And a lot of times, I'd text it, praying for you. Hey, how can I pray for you? No response. I'm not going to pray. No, I didn't do that, but I felt like that, you know? And it was frustrating. And again, if I'm being real with you, I thought to myself, God, this is a waste of time. What am I doing? Why do you keep pulling my heart in this direction? I feel like I keep putting time over here. And man, this guy's not helping the youth group grow. He's a -1. He's not even there. But God was convicting me. And when God has called you to something, you do it. So what if I failed? So what if I tried for years? And no matter what age you get to, it does not feel great to be left on red, you know? I'm like, pray for you, you know? Time goes by and he graduates high school. And then during COVID, I was asleep. I missed a phone call about 2 a.m. from Harry. I was like, that's weird. Because A, he did not never called me. This is weird. So I call him, like, dude, how are you, man? Everything okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, no, like, come on. You never call me. I know. And then he texts me back. And it was 2 a.m. Like, come on, like, what's going on? What's going on? And it took a little bit more prodding, and he said, man, I'll be honest, I'm in a bad place right now. And things aren't going well. And I got my dad's gun. And I was sitting on my bed, and I was like, I should end my life. But then the thought popped in my head. Maybe I should call Will first. And I thought, God, if I have to feel like a failure for years. I will. Because so what? How I feel. If your purpose is done, if a life is saved, however long it takes, no matter what you're called to, whether you're called to ministry, whether you're called to be in a business world, whether you're called to reach a friend, that's going to take 25 years. Go. I said, who am I going to send that is going to be tough enough to grip onto purpose and ignore their feelings? Us. That's who God calls. God calls us. When God calls us, we answer. And we say, God, I'll go. And he says, then go. This is what I want to do. This is what I feel like God's telling us to do. Is to have a moment exactly where we're at. You all have journals, and maybe you forgot that, or maybe you need to make a note on your phone. We'll give another moment for God to just speak to you. Who is God calling you to? What is God calling you to? And if you were okay with failure, if you're like failure is what it is and whatever, what would you do? Would you bow your heads for a second? God, I pray that you would speak to us. Pray that you would convict us. Pray that you would give us big question in our life. Whom will you send us to? What are you calling us to? God, send us. Right now, if God is speaking to you, if God is giving you people's names, maybe a job in the future, maybe a vocation, maybe that is ministry. Maybe God's calling you to be a better example on your sports team. Maybe God's calling you to become a team captain at your school so that Christ followers will be in prominent places. Maybe you're in middle school in this room and God is calling you to be a valedictorian so that one day you can make a speech glorifying him. Maybe God is calling you to better serve your family. Write that down. Write that down.